this month we are experiencing a December to remember. December to remember. By sharing in the sweetness, the sacredness, and the holiness of this time of year in new and empowering ways. So the whole month we're going to be deepening into that. And our December to remember topic for today, one of my favorite ones, is your Christmas club account. It's really a spiritual Christmas club account. But, you know, if you look in the Living the Science of Mind book, there's a chapter on that, and it's one of my absolute favorites, because it's really a great concept, and that's what we're going to talk about this morning. So does anyone remember, maybe when you were younger, you had like a little savings account, a Christmas savings account, maybe when you were older, or your parents did, and I don't think the banks do it anymore, but they used to have Christmas club accounts. Right. Yeah. And you would put your money in there and have it all ready for Christmas. I never did, but many people did. I think my mother did. And you could draw upon it. So it was like, it's a good thing to do. Well, today we're going to be talking a little bit different, because we're going to be talking about not putting money into a savings account, but we're going to look at the idea that we can have a spiritual savings account that we can draw upon when we need it. So there are many different tools. I know I was visiting one of our members yesterday in the hospital, and we were discussing that, and he was saying, and from so many different areas, he has all of these spiritual tools that he can pull in and use when he needed it, which was this week when he was in the hospital. So this is what we are offering you at Joyful Gathering and many other places. Your yoga centers, all these different places have tools for you to use. Are you absorbing it, really taking it in, and putting it into that spiritual bank account? And I love these words by Ernest Holmes, and he wrote this in Living the Science of Mind, in which he uses having money available analogy. So he says how comfortable it makes us feel to have a good, fat checking account. An account big enough to draw on in emergencies without impoverishing us when it comes to paying for our ordinary needs. Let us talk about another kind of account, which is equally important. We are calling it our spiritual bank account because we believe there are real spiritual forces that we can draw upon and deposit in our own minds, and which can be used in any emergency, in any stress or strain of life. So we are calling it our spiritual, I love this, I'm going to just say it one more time. We're calling it our spiritual bank account. Yeah, our spiritual bank account. Because there are real spiritual forces that we believe this, that we can draw upon and deposit in our own minds and can be used when we need them. When we need them. But of course, the key to this morning is the deposits. It's all about, are we consciously making these deposits? Are we really believing and knowing that there is a power for good, and then using all of these different spiritual tools, if you want, these spiritual truths, and depositing them in this account so that when something takes place, we can breathe into it and align with it. So we're going to look at a couple of key spiritual deposits that you can make, just in case you don't know what I'm talking about, but I think most of you do. And it's through our beautiful Science of Mind and New Thought teachings. But before talking about the deposits, I want to set the stage for our conversation by saying something really important about this. Our teachings do not guarantee that we won't ever have any challenges. Clearly, humanity has its deep challenges. We see and we hear tragic events of the depth of our challenges in the news every day, and just in being with everyone, just being in this human experience. So no, we don't guarantee that all your problems and all the challenges are going to go away. It's about, that's a part of having this human experience. So there are a lot of problems that will bear down on us quickly and hard, and we are not guaranteed we won't have these things happen in our lives or in the lives of those around us. And at the level of humanity, these can be really scary, heartbreaking, and horrible events. There are no guarantees, but our spiritual teachings guarantee something. And that's what I want us to really have some solid understanding, a solid grasp about these spiritual principles and teachings that we have in this beautiful religion, spirituality, science of mind. And they guarantee this. They guarantee a way to look at whatever is going on, a way to be with whatever is going on, and a way to approach whatever is going on that serves, supports, guarantees, uplifts, comforts, empowers us individually and collectively. Because when one of us, any one of us is served, supported, comforted, uplifted, and empowered, the collective is as well. Because remember, we're a unity, we are one, we truly are. And if I were to put what it is that can serve us, support us, comfort us, uplift us, and empower us in just one sentence, I would say our teachings show how to take a higher view of life, how to take that overview, that higher view of life. And I have a story to illustrate this idea of a higher view of life. And it's a story about an English couple visiting New York City for the first time. And to be honest, they were very afraid of New York City. What they had heard of its reputation, full of rude people, garbage and crime and all that stuff. And their host, I remember this year from when I was younger, before I even came here, and that's what I remember people saying. They're very rude in America, so get used to that. But I didn't really find that. I really didn't. And so the host of this English couple that were visiting New York City decided to take them to the observation deck of the tallest building, of the Empire State Building in New York City. And they went up and they looked down and they looked at it from the top, and the whole perspective of what they were thinking has changed. It was a clear day and they could see forever, because if you've ever been up there, you know you can see the vistas, you can see Central Park, you can see all the towering buildings, and I think that they're beautiful. I love the city. So I just think that they're beautiful, and obviously they did. They saw the greenery, they saw everything from a higher perspective, and it was utterly spectacular. And all during the rest of the week, as they traveled around the town with their hosts, their vision that they had from the higher view really outpictured everything that was taking place, which was all good. I mean, they had a great experience, but just getting that higher view of something that they had already in their mind that would be not a pleasant experience changed everything. And they traveled all over the world, and after that trip they told their hosts that this was one of the friendliest, most beautiful cities that they had ever been in. So remember that. We have to keep in mind that we need to come from that higher view of looking at all of the stuff that we think is so like powerful and maybe not uplifting in our lives. This too shall pass. There is a bigger picture. So we're going to make the deposits into our spiritual bank account. We got to do that before we need them, right? When you deposit money in the bank, you make it your deposit before you need it. So it's the same concept with the spiritual bank account, so that we can take that higher view. We have these spiritual tools, let's use them. And what is a view from the top then spiritually? The first thing is to know that God is all there is. It's the only power that exists. It's eternal, It's perfect in every way. And now, think on these words, which I absolutely love, and they're from New Thought writer Emily Cady. She writes, God is power. Not simply God has power, but God is power. In other words, all the power there is to do anything is God. God, the source of our existence every moment, is not simply omnipotent, all powerful, but rather I can't even do this. But rather, omnipotent. Omnipotent is omnipotence, which is all power. Okay? So we're just shifting it with the C in there. God is not omniscient, which is all-knowing, but rather omniscience. Well, you know, I did this all this morning, too, which is all knowledge. But you get it. It's a shift. It's a shift in how we perceive something. God is not only omnipresent, but more omnipresence. God is not a being having qualities. God is the good. It is the good. We break it down in our minds to the qualities because we are trying to understand that which is totally out of our realm of understanding.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. It really, truly is. This power for good is so much more than we could ever imagine. And we are part of it. That is our truth. That is the only truth. Ernest Holmes wrote, a realization of the presence of God is the most powerful healing agency known to the mind of man. The only thing to heal is our belief that we're separate. And that's the only thing, the biggest thing, because we do feel separate. That's part of our human experience. But the ultimate truth is we are so made of this one substance. We are all of God, each and every one of us. So this is, of course, the first place we go to in our spiritual mind treatment. You know, anyone that's taken the classes, especially our practitioners in training, they realize that they write prayer after prayer after prayer. Why? To get to that place of recognizing that what God is, the good of God. And that's why it's so important to get that first and second step in the 5 steps of spiritual mind treatment in. To really deepen in, to really believe it. Believe what you're writing, what you're praying, and what you're feeling about God. Ernest Holmes writes, a realization of God is the most powerful healing agency known to man. And that is the ultimate truth. And it's been written that the solution to the problem of the day is the awakening of the consciousness of humanity to the divinity within. So once again, it's always going to come back to us going within, going and connecting to this presence in there. There's a presence. And we say in there, but we're really in it. Our physical bodies are in it. Because it's a spectacular energy that is divine, that is intelligent, that provides all that we could ever want in life. So, we absolutely have to have, though, you see, this is the part, the concept that God is in and expressing as each and every one of us. And that needs to truly be deeply and firmly implanted in us. And that's why we do all these classes and have these workshops and come together in community so that we can deepen into what that truly means for us. Because that's where the healing is. That's where we make our deposits from. That place of knowing that God the good is the truth of us. So we make tremendous spiritual deposits when we train ourselves to see God even when things are difficult, even in the middle of darkness, which is that time when true transformation can take place. And then we have our third spiritual deposit. When we train ourselves to realize that no matter what is going on, there is always something greater that is really happening. No matter what is going on in our lives individually, There is something so much greater. That's why we say that God's good outpictures anything we can comprehend. It's so much greater no matter what difficulty we may be experiencing in any given moment. An answer greater to that problem is available to us. It truly is. But again, making those deposits of knowing. Go within. Go within. The school of life is no different than grade school, middle school, high school, or graduate school. We are constantly being introduced to new concepts, new curriculum, new understanding. First graders often think that curriculum in their grade is very difficult. 8th graders think that their classes are very hard. And the seniors in high school think their classes are impossible. But the high school student doesn't think that the 8th grade's curriculum is challenging. And the 8th grader doesn't think that the first grade's curriculum is challenging. It's the perfection of the universe in operation. The perfection of the universe is that it has a magnificent way of keeping us on the growing edges of our own life. That is what we are. We are students of life. Are we not?
Yes. Yes.
Are we not?
Yes.
All right. If you're finding your curriculum particularly challenging, which it can be at times, now that you can know that, you're in your perfect place. The growing edges of your becoming. And who you are becoming is really something and someone awesome. Spectacular. Hard curriculum is a compliment to the soul. How about that? Hard curriculum is a compliment to your own soul. It helps you see more and grow more and become more. So, my friends, as we cultivate these ideas so that we can turn to them in times of trouble, we are really making those tremendous deposits. We really don't even realize how many deposits we are making into our spiritual bank account. We really don't, until something that feels really challenging occurs and we're like, okay, what do I do? What do I do? Go within. Make a withdrawal. Know that God is limitless good, always supplying all of us. Knowing that God is the one and only power and the all power. Knowing that the one and only God lives as me. Knowing that there is always something greater going on. Something greater going on than any experience I might be having. These are mental deposits to make into our spiritual account. And here's one of my favorite passages from Science of Mind. Ernest Holmes writes, "Stay with the one and never deviate from it. Never leave it for a moment. Nothing else can equal this attitude. To desert the truth in the hour of need is to prove that we do not know the truth. When things look the worst, that is the supreme moment to demonstrate to ourselves that there are no obstructions in the operation of truth. The person who can throw himself with complete abandon into the limitless sea of receptivity, having cut loose from all apparent moorings, is the one who will always receive the greatest reward." It's from Ernest Holmes. And so I'd like to close this with a prayer that it's cute, and it's poignant, and it'll get the point across of this message this morning. And I have a short story to set it up for you. So there once was a farmer who had 3 sons, Jim, John, and Sam. No one in the family had ever attended church or had any time for God. The pastor of the church had tried for years to interest this whole family in the things of God, to no avail. And one day, a rattlesnake bit Sam, and the doctor was called. And he did all that he could do to help Sam, but the outlook for Sam's recovery was very dim. The pastor was called and apprised of the situation, and the pastor arrived and began to pray as follows. O wise and righteous Father, we thank thee that in thine wisdom thou didst send this rattlesnake to bite Sam. He has never been inside the church. It is doubtful that he has in all the time ever prayed or even acknowledged thy existence. Now we trust that this experience will be a valuable lesson to him and will lead him to you. And now, O Father, will thou send another rattlesnake to bite Jim, and another to bite John, and another really big one to bite the old man? For years we have done everything we know to get them to turn to thee, but all in vain, it seems. Therefore, that with all combined efforts, you have done what we could not do. The rattlesnake has done. We thus conclude that the only thing that will do this family any real good is a rattlesnake. So, Lord, please send us bigger and better rattlesnakes. Thank you. Amen. It's a cute story. But you get the point? You get the point? If you don't have anything in your spiritual bank account, what are you going to draw upon when stuff takes place in life? You'd be floundering, trying to solve it with the same problem that created it, the same thinking that created it. And Shakespeare once said, "Sweet are the uses of adversity." And when we are in the midst of adversity, it sure doesn't feel very sweet. This we know, doesn't feel sweet. Today, as we begin a new week and a new month in this sacred, holy time of year, because it really is a beautiful, December is, to me anyway, a gorgeous time of year because of all the traditions that are coming together to celebrate a spiritual, whatever the spirituality is. It's a very uplifting energy that is all around us. So this holy time of year, let us take time to reflect and listen to the deeper parts of ourselves. We do that in meditation, and we just do it, just being in that constant flow of conversations with God. Really, that's what it is. If there is any adversity in your life, the news, or any place around you, just be reminded that with a broad, high view, a broad enough perspective, a broad enough look, and a big heart, there really is good taking place in all situations, in everything, even if we can't see it. We can't see it. We might not see it at that moment, but there are so many in what looks like injustices and unrest taking place in the world today. There's a lot of it. But we believe in a oneness. We believe that we're all unified in this one light. So if we're all unified, then there's a God spark in everyone. There's a God spark in the people that we're seeing in the news that look like everything's very unjust. But there's still, if we're going to practice this stuff, the truth is there's a God light in everyone, So I encourage you to, if you're going to watch the news, use it to try to really feel the God light in someone that you might not agree with what they just did. That's really, that's a challenge, but it's one that can deepen you. Plus, you contribute to the energy of healing when you do that. If we will look a little deeper, we will discover that precious jewel that is the truth of the experience that we are in. Because we're in this anyway. Why not make it a jewel? Just make it a jewel. Pick a jewel that you love. This experience is a jewel. You are a jewel. And it's about shining and glittering and radiating that jewel light that is the truth of who you are. And if you've made sufficient deposits into your spiritual Christmas account, you'll have plenty to withdraw from. And remember, the universe is limitless. It's limitless. And so it is.
Woo-hoo.